Eleanor Roosevelt once said that America is about speed. Hot, badass, nasty speed. And that is what Atlanta Motor Speedway is about, and that's where we are in the Class C Fixed Series today. Hey everybody, John here, again from the Class C Fixed here at Atlanta. Sorry about not being in the open, guys. Nobody races there. I couldn't find a race with more than a couple entrants in it, and so I'm running Fixed again, and which is okay. It's less time on my part because I don't have to mess with the setups, but I was kind of starting to have a little fun doing that this week, but it wasn't to be. There's just nobody in those races. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the plans going forward. I may end up having to move up to B and match in their schedule, because if you don't, the schedule in the Fixed Series in Class C does not match the actual schedule. Next week they go to Vegas, and then after that they're it doesn't marry up like I wanted it to, or like I was hoping it was gonna. So, oh well, we're gonna do the best we can with what we have, and if that means moving up to B, then that's what that means. So yeah, we're here at Atlanta. Watch the races today, and this is all post editing here. I am not actually talking to you from the cockpit because I didn't say a single word during this race. This track is fast. And it is slippery. It's extremely slick. I'm sure if you watched the race today, you saw it. Those cars were slipping and sliding all over the place. And honestly, I loved it. I thought it wasn't the most exciting race I've ever seen because it is a 1.5 mile track. But I got to give NASCAR credit, and I don't do that often. They nailed the low downforce package. Those guys could race side by side. They could, pass. And it was more about mechanical grip, it seemed to me, than it was about anything else. And we saw that really come into play, throughout the whole race. Sorry, I just had to turn the old volume down here. But overall, I really thought it was a good race today at Atlanta. I wasn't too impressed with the Busch race, and the truck race was blah also this weekend. But I thought the Cup race was really good. So, hopefully that kind of stuff continues. I'd like to see more racing like that, where you can really see the drivers driving, where they're not just completely stuck to the track, by downforce. And I'm sure there's a huge amount of downforce involved, but those guys were wheeling it today. You could see the in-cars with Harvick and everybody. They were getting after it, and they were really, really up on that wheel, and they were driving the cars. And we haven't seen guys drive these cars in 5 or 6 years. Anyway, I'm about to come to green, and Jason Sturgill loves these trucks. We'll see if that holds true at the end of this event. This track in iRacing, super slick. Your tires are going to last about 10 laps and then just go away. Here we go, green flag. And I get a halfway decent restart. I have been practicing the restarts. I'm getting a little bit better. A little bit. Take you a lap around this track, down into turn 1 and 2. You're going to hold her wide open through here in the trucks, even in the Fixed Series. In the Open Series, I had gotten set up work to where I could put it wide open all the way around the track for about 4 or 5 laps. And I'm sure guys who are better than me can do it more than that. Turn 3 and 4, though, very, very slick. You want to get down to the bottom, and you're letting off into that corner. And this is on fresh tires. So obviously this is going to start to change as the race wears on. Again, your tires are good for about 10 laps, and then they're going to be garbage. But so sitting here in 9th, and honestly, just trying not to wreck. I'm really racing the track here. I'm not trying not to be that guy right there who just loses it. I know it looks dumb, it looks silly, but that is so easy to do here. 3 and 4 are just treacherous. And that was on tires with 2 laps on them. So you could imagine what it's going to be if we get a long green flag run here, how bad those tires are going to be. So again, like I was saying, I watched the race today, loved it. I really was expecting not to. I'm never been the biggest fan of Atlanta. I don't like 1.5 tracks. I don't like the racing they produce. But I loved, again, just that they were driving the cars. And I also, it came down to a strategy call. or Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, again, they always make the right decisions. I'm saying again a lot. That's probably bad. Oh well. Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, they're just always, they just nail it. More often than not, they're making the right decisions. And, I mean, they won the race. They made the right call, won the race. 76 wins, matched the great Dale Earnhardt. In his win column, I like that Gordon was up in the booth, and he really, obviously he knew it was a big deal. So that was really cool. And I think Jimmy Johnson's one of the greatest drivers to ever step in a race car, or sit in a race car, I guess. You don't step in race cars. Like, just to go back to the actual events on the track here, you can see through turns 3 and 4, usually there is smoke because somebody's sliding. 1 and 2, more stable. You can really get it down to the bottom, to the white line here, like I'm about to do. And but 3 and 4, man, they are slick. Back to what I was talking about though with Jimmy Johnson. I think he's just going to get a raw deal when it comes to talking about legacy. When people start talking about his 6 championships, I think the fact that he won them all in the Chase era is really going to hurt him, and not rightfully so. That guy is an amazing driver, which is another gripe I have against the Chase. I think he's probably won 4 or 5 championships, maybe even 6, if you take the Chase away. So, but that's going to be the argument when it comes down to talking about all-time great. When you're talking about who's the best of all time, obviously right now there's 2 people in that conversation. There's Petty and Earnhardt, and that is it. But I think Jimmy Johnson belongs in that conversation too. And I think by the end of his career, he's going to have earned the right to be in that conversation. But I think there's also going to be a lot of people who are going to say, yeah, well, he never won a legitimate championship. So we'll see how that works out. But if you look at that guy's stats, stack them up to Earnhardt's, stack them up to Petty's, they're better. His wins per start are better. He's an amazing driver. Him and Chad Knaus are a just phenomenal combination with crew chief and driver, and obviously they've been getting it done for over a decade now. So back in this race, you can see I'm working the 2, and my plan here, other than not crashing, because we got about 10. You see, we got about 10 laps on these tires now, is just to wait for them to make a mistake, wait for them to give me an opportunity. This wheel you're seeing in the front of the screen here is not at all reflective of what is actually happening with my hands in this race. And get your minds out of the gutter. That's not what you're thinking. You are back and forth. You're really sawing the wheel legitimately. I have a Thrustmaster, or a Logitech G27, which I love. But you're sawing the wheel, and you can see that guy made a mistake. I'm gonna get him, and that's what this track is about. And you can't screw up. If you mess up, you're gonna lose 3 or 4 positions, and so you just gotta be smooth, be clean, race your race, and wait for the guys in front of you to make their mistakes, and still try and be fast. Fast line around this track's on the bottom. I know fast line today there's a lot of fast guys going up to the top side. Doesn't work like that. Not in the trucks. Not in this game. Get that truck down to the white line as best you can. Hold it there as best you can, and you'll be quick. And passing was hard. Passing is pretty difficult. You can see here I'm really going to close on this red truck in front of me, whatever his deal is. What's his? I don't know. I'm going to close on this number 3, Brandon Gill. But passing is just difficult. 7 got a run on me there coming out of the corner, and he's going to get me down into 1 and 2. It's a nice feeling on this track, though, when you can turn left and have the car go left just a little bit. The bad feeling is when you turn left and the car, and all of a sudden you're looking at the infield. That happens a lot. This guy got down, put her on the apron, made a mistake, get that spot right back. No problem. Stay low. There's a car on the high side. You're clear high. Clear high. I'll tell you what, today worried me a little bit. with the actual NASCAR, I'm starting to get concerned for the future of the sport. And I'm not talking about where the sport's going or anything like that. I'm talking about legitimately, I think there's reason for concern that they might not, that type of racing might not be around that much longer in the way that we know it. And if you have any doubts about that, today's race, man, 39 entrants. The first time NASCAR has not filled a field, and they lowered the maximum number of cars this year from 43 to 40, and they only got 39. This is the first time they haven't had the start list filled since like 1992 or 93. It's been a long time, and everybody's losing it. Look at that. It's about to get messy here. Canada lost it. I lost it. The 6 lost it the lap before. These are old tires. 16 laps. This track is starting to get slick, and you don't have the actual vehicle to tell you what's going on with that car. You have to rely on the edges of your screen telling you, oh, I'm turning too much. I've obviously got loose. So you got to drop back to 7th there after almost losing it out of 4. But, man, you just can't. If you get back on the gas there, you're done. And here we go. 6 loses it again. 8, and we're just going to squeeze them. We're going to squeeze them. 6 and 3. Sorry, not the 8. That was maybe a little too aggressive, but this was my last race of the week, and I really wanted to make the most of it. I think I raced 4 or 5 times this week. This track is fun, but it's tough. It's tough being loose in a sim. Like I said, you don't get that seat of your pants feeling, so being loose in a sim is really hard. It's a lot to deal with, and you don't want to wreck. You don't want to ruin your safety rating, or especially go to pass somebody and lose it, which is entirely possible on old tires here, and just ruin your whole day, or ruin somebody else's day. That would be big. But yeah, and NASCAR, I'm concerned. They don't have a sponsor for next year. You know, I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that. And there's a 7. You can see everybody's just skating out here. This is trucks on ice. NASCAR has a sponsor next year. You know, the trucks have a sponsor. They're going to keep Camping World. But the actual Cup Series, Sprint's leaving. And they announced they were leaving last year. Nobody has come running, and the 7 just lost it. And he should have let off the gas. We're going to get our first caution there. He clobbered the wall. So, there's that for you. First caution. And I needed it. 19 laps on the tires. Coming down to 20 laps on the tires. They were getting it. Things were getting hairy. Those dudes were running 40, 45 laps. I think Jimmy Johnson ran 48 laps on his last set of tires this week. I can't imagine that. At least in this, you're so loose by the time you get 15 laps on these tires that you can barely drive this thing. And you can see my last lap was, what, a 33.395? That is terrible. That is not good. And this guy, I love it. Love it when my cap jumps on my keyboard. That's why you wrecked. You blame your imaginary cat. We believe you. We believe you there, James. Don't worry about it. So coming in 5th into pit road. Going to be a couple more caution laps. I'm going to hit the pit road, come back out. I'll come back out in 5th place. I'll see you guys again at the restart. All right, back at it. 1 to green here. We're going to take the green with about 12 laps to go. About 12 laps, you know, in that neighborhood. 12.3 laps to go or something like that, to be scientific. That's not true at all. Anyway, like I was talking, NASCAR, or Sprint Cup, the Sprint Cup, the Cup Series in NASCAR, no sponsor next year, and they're not filling their races with vehicles, and that's because it's become so cost prohibitive for a lot of these smaller teams, which kind of sucks, man. You're not going to get, you know, I think what we're going to see in the future is 36 cars in a Cup. There's 36 charter teams. I think the big races, your Daytonas and etc., you're gonna fill the field, but I wouldn't expect full fields from now on, because that's an expensive sport to race in or to participate in, and a lot of the smaller teams lost money at the 500 last week. So I'm not expecting to see full fields a lot. I mean, I'm really expecting to see that kind of be the norm going forward. So here we go, pace cars in. We're going to take the green in 5th place. We've had a couple of close calls here in the early part of the race. We've got tires that should be pretty decent until about 2 laps to go. So I'm not afraid to push this car, this truck right now. And one thing I found with this track with Atlanta is you need to push really hard when you have good tires. It's not like a Charlotte or a Phoenix or some of these other tracks where you can save your tires and be better, significantly better at the end of the run than the other guys. You need to get the good out of those tires while it's there, because once it's gone, and it's going to be gone after 10 laps, it don't matter what you're doing. You might be a little bit faster than the guys in front of you, but it's not going to be enough to matter. You're going to be skating around just like they are, and you're going to have wasted the good part of the tires. So here I'm really pushing it. And this 12, I'm faster than him. I just can't. Spoilers, I'm not going to make it by the 12. I didn't. By the time I really got a chance at him, I was afraid if I was too aggressive, I was going to wreck both of us. And it'd been such a clean race for me, and a good race. Atlanta's not my track, man. Atlanta's not my track. I was really hoping that I'd be able to get a top 5 out of this, or better. And I think had I been able to get by the 12, I could have gotten up and raced with these guys, but it just wasn't to be, and I didn't want to race it over my head and wreck everybody, so whatever. But you can see even now, early in the run, I mean, we've only been, what, 2 laps on these tires? Guys are just smoking them going through 1 and 2. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty concerned about what's going to happen with Cup. I think there's a lot of reasons why attendance is down and why ratings are down, and I've outlined them before. And I like the new low downforce package. I think, though, it's going to be too little too late. They're really trying to reach back and make it the 90s again, which is when NASCAR was at its heyday. What you're missing, though, is the tracks. You don't have the short tracks anymore. It used to be you went to Daytona, and then you hit Rockingham, Atlanta, and then short track season started. Man, you had better have been good on those short tracks. Because if you weren't going to win a championship. And that's gone now. The short tracks are gone. A lot of that wheel-to-wheel racing's gone. And you're not bringing it back. The way the deals are structured with the tracks themselves, with the corporations who own these tracks, it's really hard to get a date moved or to get a date taken away. See, I really should have driven in under that 8 there. He's coming in a little higher than me, and I just don't want him to come across my nose. This is more self-preservation than anything else, but this is going to cost me a spot here, as the 18, not the 81, is going to get me. Just that loss of momentum. And I shut the door on this guy. I'm not having any of that. Sorry, buddy. Not taking advantage of me. I may be a rookie in this series, but I'm nobody's bitch. Yeah, we're just going to fall in behind this guy and wait for him to mess up. We're gonna wait for an opening, and we're gonna go. Hopefully, and that's the plan anyway. Really, really wanted to get a top 5 here. Like I said, Atlanta's not really my track. I did not have very good finishes here this week because, I don't know, just first time racing on this place, and it's slick. It's very, very slick. Yeah, I hope the Cup Series is able to get a sponsor. for next year, because to be able to, like I said, a lot of your lower end teams, a lot of these smaller teams lost money at the 500, and for teams to make money, you have to have sponsorship dollars and all that coming in. And if that goes away, you can see a lot of these teams just pull the plug on their programs. And I hope that doesn't happen. I love NASCAR, even though it has wronged me for the last 2 decades. But I hope it doesn't happen. I hope they're going to be okay. I hope somebody with a lick of sense gets in charge out there and does some stuff, does some good things. We're going to come down and get 2 to go. I am sitting right outside the top 5. Best finish I'm going to have this week at Atlanta. And honestly, right now, these tires are really starting to go away. I'm trying not to make any mistakes in the car. The other weird thing this week was Stuart Haas going to Ford next year, which kind of makes me wonder, what is Chevy doing? They lost Truex, or the Furniture Row team, last year, which wasn't a big team, but they were a successful team. And now they've lost Stuart Haas, so I wonder if that's part of the... I wonder if it's just too... And there I go. Look at me losing it out of 4. 11 laps on those tires, overdrove 4, lost it, and that is going to cost me 2 spots. I'm going to drop from 6th. There I'm in 7th. There we go. All right, actually, I think it might cost me 3. I might go back to 9th. Yep, this 3's going to get me. Too late to play games. And once you smoke the tires on these things, they really, you got to wait for them to cool off. At least that's what it seems like to me before that thing's going to act right again. So there we go, checkered flag. Coming home in 9th place. Top 10 finish, not bad. Not bad at all. Next week, these guys are going to be at Las Vegas, so that's where I'm going to be too. And then after that, the season's going to be over for this particular season. And we may move up and see how Class B treats us and if we can get the schedule we want there. But until next time, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Keep it out of the fence, guys.